I'd say like right off the bat, right? And maybe you get to it now, but we're now at 11 minutes out of 30. What was the agenda? Like, I don't know what it was. Like, you just kind of jumped into it. There was no, and the personal part, great. Yeah, great to start with that. That's fine. But then we jumped into tell me about your agency as opposed to, hey, here's what I want to cover today, and then leading into it. Or maybe even something as simple as, hey, what got you to schedule a call with me? Those are two routes you can go. And one of the first things I would start with based on the previous messaging was I'd basically, hey, at the time, in terms of like today's call, I want to talk about X, right? And I obviously want to answer any questions you have, but here's a few things that come to mind or who I have in terms of an agenda. The first thing I want to start with, because you mentioned in the LinkedIn message, the last time you had to hire a source, you had to go through what you said quite a few. Help me kind of understand what's going on with that first, because that's what we're selling to is that pain point. And right now we've got a ton of like information, but right now, again, a third of the way through the call, I don't know anything about anything in terms of like why he would buy from me. Like, what is his pain point? What is he trying to solve? Like, I've got the company overview, which is great, but I always feel like that stuff is secondary to getting to the pain point. Like, I like to call it like flip the script, because I know early on in my career, a lot of my discovery calls were like surface level questions, learning about stuff, whatever. And what I realized is that clients bought from me because I knew more about them than they did about certain particular topics, right? Being a consultant, essentially, where I come in and say, hey, thanks for meeting with me. Here's why most agencies take a call with me in the first place. They're dealing with X, Y, and Z. You'd mentioned you're having a sourcer. My assumption is you're growing extremely fast, but you're running into some issues when it comes to finding the right person. Help me kind of understand what's going on there. And then let them talk about all of that part first. And then if we need to later on get to the business and some of the like, again, they're details, they're somewhat important details, but they're not the ones that are going to get them to move the needle and buy from you. So I would want to, one, if I'm recapping what I just said, set the agenda of like what you want to cover, and two, start with a very like direct question, because in this case we have a pain point area identified in the messaging, and start there. And then the other thing too, just to add in general, and they look, the best salespeople listen more than they talk. Obviously, like we want the prospect to do a lot of the talking so we learn some stuff. But at this point, we're like 10 minutes in and you've talked like twice. Don't be afraid to like sometimes interrupt a little bit. Like, you got to create a little bit of tension around things, and maybe you get to it, maybe not, but he's been on like a 4-minute talk about his business. And I wrote down things of like, how many divisions are they trying to add? I don't know. He said a bunch of them, right? Like, well, how many are you trying to add? Like, how are you trying to specialize with that? What are you going to do to support all those different divisions? Like, that in and of itself, you can probably spend 30 minutes just on that particular topic and pull a ton of growth pains they're going to experience because you've been there and done that yourself. So you know what it's like to diversify and do all that stuff as well. The other thing too, he talked about and used the word okay. What did he say about the director of L&D? She's okay.
Yeah.
He said the word okay. Everyone knows what okay means in this world. Like when you're like, you know, if I ask my wife how she's doing and she says I'm doing okay, it means something's wrong, right? Like, it's not perfect. There's something that needs to be fixed or worked on. So if we were going back and saying like, hey, dig into it, like don't let them, because now in that particular topic of director of L&D, we're so far removed from that topic. I have to like bring you back to this now. And I wouldn't be afraid to say, hey, wait, hold on. Like, you mentioned the director of L&D, she's doing okay. I heard you say that it almost sounds like you brought her in too early and you're trying to give her extra work. Like, help me understand what's going on with that particular person, or what was the plan in the first place, and like try to uncover some more pain points around that piece, and then let them continue on about the different divisions and everything else from there. But yeah, I would just say like right off the bat, like the agenda setting would really help in terms of like focusing in on what you can solve, right? Because if you let someone talk, you could get to 30 minutes and maybe the rest of the call go this way. You get to the end, you get off, you go, what did we even cover? Like, I learned a lot, but did I learn anything actionable in terms of like what I can solve? Like I always like to say, like, we're not, you know, whether as a salesperson in general, doesn't matter if you're a recruiter, if you're doing nearshore, doesn't matter if you're doing direct hire contract. At the end of the day, we're all specialists in a particular way we can service our clients. We're not family doctors. I can't solve everything. I want to figure out what are the problems you're having that I can solve and spend time on that, and spend less time about learning about all these other things that right now I just can't fix. I can't help you with, because our time together is finite, and I want to make sure we're really focused on the issues that are important that I can actually fix.
Yeah. So by setting the agenda and asking a directed question, I can make sure that I'm getting the relevant information that I actually need.
Correct. Because like all this information, right? Whether you're able to close them on this call or next week or next month or next year, Like the information is the things you're going to hit on in your follow-ups, in your next meeting, if you have a second meeting with them, whatever it is. Like these are the relevant pain points or challenges that they're facing that you can also solve.
Yep.
And by hitting on that, I'm trying to get them to take action. Like that's ultimately what we're trying to do on every call is take action, whether that's schedule the next meeting, whether it's sign a contract, whether it's to whatever, right? We're trying to get them to take action. And the way to take action is to tell to the pain points and challenges. Like, have you ever heard the phrase, what is it? Everyone takes Tylenol, but everyone forgets their vitamins?
No, I haven't.
No, it's like, I might paraphrase it a little bit, right? But think about it. And I always love this one because we all know vitamins are good for us, right? Like you're supposed to take your vitamins, especially as you get older, you take these vitamins, they're good for you. How many days you go where you forget to take them? Pretty frequently. If you're like me, you forget pretty frequently. If you have a raging headache, do you forget to take some sort of ibuprofen or aspirin?
No.
Never.
Yeah.
Because there's a pain point, and that pain is going to get you to take action now. Even though, like, again, vitamins could prevent headaches, they can make you feel better, all these things, but it's like, I'm not in pain, there's no challenge, so I'm not as motivated to do something or to take an action. But if I have a raging headache, you better believe I'm reaching for something to help fix this problem. That's what we're trying to do here too, is pull out the pain, make mountains out of molehills, and show how by not solving this thing now, it's going to lead to bigger and bigger headaches as a result.
Yep. Okay. Yeah. So really, it's not even just about setting the agenda, but setting it mindfully in a way that it gets to illustrate those pain points.
Yeah. I mean, you're the expert, right? When it comes to nearshore, like how to do this, you're the expert, and lean into it first off. And secondly, don't be afraid to like make some assumptions, meaning, hey, whoever meet with Mr. Mrs. Owner, here's the reason why most people would meet with me. Here's the problems they're facing. Help me understand which one of those you're addressing right now. Mm-hmm. More often than not, if you like really know your market, you should be able to like list 3 pain points they're probably going through, and you should see a head nod or 2 out of them. Like, okay, the head nod. Okay, wait, I saw you nod a little bit there. Like, help me understand. Each situation's a little bit different, so help me understand about what's going on with this particular pain point. Now, every once in a while, you hit someone who say, actually, I'm not dealing with any of these things. I'm dealing with X. To which I say, cool, I'm right to the root cause anyways. Like, I made an assumption. You corrected me on the assumption, but we got to the heart of the issue within the first 4 minutes of being on the call together. And now I can spend the next 15 minutes digging into that, and then maybe the last 10 minutes learning more about the company and some of the other details that are important. But I want to know what's going to get them to move the needle forward or move the ball forward. And spending time around that pain point is what does that.
Cool.
I mean, the whole goal at the end of the day is like you're trying to hold up a mirror to them, because you can't you can't create a problem for them. The problem has to already exist. Your job is just to hold it up and shine it back and say, like, look, this is like, here's everything you're telling me. Here's the problems you're facing. And here's ultimately what's probably going to happen if you don't fix it. Based on my years of experience and problems I've seen, like, I know where the story ends. And by working with me, I can help change the ending for you in a positive way, right? And again, maybe you get into it and we can pull up the call and keep continuing. But we are, just because I'm mindful of the clock, I'm looking at the clock too, right? We're 33% way through the call. And I'm sitting here going, okay, like we've learned a lot of like high level details, but like what else? Like what am I selling to right now? I don't know. I don't have it yet. So let's pull up, maybe get to it again. But like I just think the agenda will definitely help get to the root cause faster, which allows us to spend more time on it. And then later on we can get to like, okay, what is the business plan? Yes, you're adding these divisions. Like that's awesome, right? But like I need to understand your pain points as fast as humanly possible.
Yep. Good feedback. All right.
I would say, so one, right. I like the ladder you talked about, right? In terms of, and actually particularly what I like most was you're saying, hey, this is what other organizations are doing. Like the whole herd mentality, right? You're selling what the grass is greener, that whole thing. Like this is what others are doing. You're positioning yourself as someone who like knows the ins and outs of similar companies as well. And I like that you said like, hey, it helps de-risk it. Right, you're helping like de-risk some of the hires. I would take it one step further and use their own words, like use his own words back to him. Instead of saying de-risking it, put it into dollars, because he already gave it to us. He said the U.S. recruiter would cost anywhere from like 60 to 70K, I think he said, if they're higher there versus the Colombian sourcer. So we can spend some time around that particular topic. When you said, hey, we de-risk, because right now, as you just said, it's about 60K for U.S.-based recruiter. For the Colombian recruiter, help me understand the cost structure around that. And then I would even go back a little bit more to that piece, because he said, hey, I went out and found the person myself. Okay, what was that experience like? How long did it take you? You said you had a little bit of time. Is that common for you to have a lot of the time to do this stuff? Because I'm trying to pull out, one, what his experience was like, but then two, that whole question of like, do you usually have time to do this thing? He's going to say no, right? This is a one-off occurrence. So then I would say, okay, if that's how you did it the first time, how do you intend to do it the second time? Because if you don't have the time to do it frequently, like you rarely do, or like you just had last time, what's your plan for the next time you have to hire somebody? And let him like explain his thought process. Then you can poke and prod a little bit more around that. But I would definitely spend more time on that particular. And again, maybe it is farther in the call, but like he talked about it, it's fresh mind. Let's spend some time on that very particular topic of, you found the person, what happened? How long did it take? What was the experience like? How did you find this person? What was your interview process like? How many candidates did it go through? How many people stuck? Like all that, we're trying to pull out all the pain points around that experience. And then we're going to sell to how we will fix all of them, right? We're the Tylenol to his pain. So guess what? The next time you have to hire someone from Columbia or whatever, all you got to do is pick up the phone. You don't have to deal with the headaches. You don't have to put in 40 hours worth of work. You don't have to go through 100 candidates. You call me and I'll get you someone like your Colombian sourcer. Like that's what we're selling when it's all said and done. One like small, it's probably nitpicky, and this is more, you could feel free to push back on this, but I think his words were, we want to find a 180 recruiter who do about 70% of a US based recruiter. I would push back on that. Like you've told me, right, through our conversations, there's some people you work with that they run laps around US based recruiters. Like that's a misnomer. Like he's almost thinking, and I could be wrong, but he's almost putting nearshore recruiters as not to the same capability as US based recruiters. And I would, if I'm you, I'm pushing back, hey, no, actually, here's what our clients have said. Some of their best hires have come from us, from Latin America or offshore or whatever. That's a misconception that they're 70%. There are actually some that are 120% better than US based recruiters. And oh, by the way, fraction of the cost as well. So like I gotta push back a little bit on that one, because I believe that's just incorrect, and see what he says around that too. Just because it's something like hit on, because it is part of the value you bring, is you bring top level talent for a fraction of the cost, right? In comparison is how I look at it. So that's kind of like, I don't have any questions on that, like kind of feedback, but just like those couple points there, especially around, and again, we might get to it in a minute, but if they're talking about it, like I want to spend time on it. I'm not afraid to like interrupt for a moment. Just, hey, hold on, you talked about the last time you had to source this person. Help me understand a little bit more. Help me, dig into it more and find out what happened there, and then move forward on the conversation from that point.
Yeah, makes sense. And I think by only, in theory, budgeting 30 minutes, which could potentially be the entire sales conversation, like I think often what happens is I don't dig in a lot of areas, because I'm like, well, yeah, I have to maybe I can budget like 10 minutes for discovery, and then, like 10, 15 minutes for discovery, then maybe there's like 5 to 10 minutes for like solution, and then like 5 to 10 minutes for like talking through, going back and forth on the solution, which is just not enough time. So I think either probably booking a longer call in the beginning, or just going into it with the intent of 2 calls, would probably put me in a place where I don't feel like shit, I'm not gonna have enough time to like say that I need to say.
Yeah, I mean, if you like, I've said this before, if I leave a discovery meeting and the only thing, like the only pieces of information I know are what their challenges slash pain points are, and what have they've done to try to solve them, it's a great meeting as far as I'm concerned.
Sure.
Because one, it obviously helps to know what their pain points are, but two, I need to understand what they've tried. Because if they've tried something before, I need to understand, did it fail or did it succeed? And then also, if I'm presenting a solution, I probably don't want to present the exact same solution that they've already tried. Because if they've explored a path before they met with you, chances are they've seen the end of the path, and it's not the right fit for them, their business. So I need to understand what you've done. If I can leave with those 2 pieces of information, I can then come into the next meeting, setting the stage again, talking about what the challenges slash pains and solutions are, and then lead into how you're going to fix it on your end. So that's part of like the two call part is, you could, in theory, have 30 minutes of just around pain points, challenges, what they've tried, and then the next call you come in with the solution and spend time talking around that. But again, my 2 cents is, I could leave a discovery call not knowing anything about the company. If I know their pain points, challenges are, and what they've tried, I've done a great job. I've learned a ton of valuable, actionable information, because when it comes to my follow-up email, I'm gonna be hitting on those pain points. When it comes to next steps, right? If they're not willing to schedule the next call with them, hey, we'll connect on email or whatever. Like we'll figure some time out. I'm hitting on that again too. Like, hey, you mentioned when we met last week, you're trying to add 7 divisions right now. It's been 3 weeks since we last talked. If you don't get this problem solved, you're probably not going to be able to get to 7 divisions by the end of the year, based on my experience, right? Something like that. I'm hitting back on the pain points to get them to take action. That's the whole goal.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And this did happen to be a 2-call sales cycle, but I didn't even go into it with that intent. It's just like,
okay,
we clearly ran out of time. But yeah, I think this is like, yeah, I need to switch it to a 2-call approach. And I think it'd be interesting after this for me to take some time and like map out what is the agenda for call 1, what is the agenda for call 2. And
yeah, I mean, you could also experiment with like a 45-minute call, or you can experiment with like a 20-minute discovery call and then a 30-minute follow-up call. I think in today's day and age, like, it's my own 2 cents, like, everyone's so busy, everyone's very guarded with their calendars. Asking for like large chunks of time tend to get like pushback from people. Like if you ask for 45 minutes to an hour, it's like, that's kind of a lot, right?
yeah.
If I can get 20 minutes though, get to the pain point, tease the solution towards the end, and then say, hey, based on everything you've told me, I think we could have helped. I've got a couple ideas in mind. Do you have time next week for me to come present with a couple solutions?
Yeah.
If I've done my job pulling up the pain points, illustrating how this is a big problem, and illustrating how it needs to be fixed now, I think there's a high probability they'll say yes to that second call, and then you just jump into it, right? The stage has already been set. Your agenda has been set. You can send a post email, like post meeting 1 email with the pain points, and have an agenda ready for it. Hey, here's your pain points, blah, blah, and here's the solution. We're going to jump into it with the goal of obviously getting a contract in place after that.
Yep. Makes
and
sense.
Ultimately, like, I wrote this down too. One of my favorite like sales quotes. It's the guy's name's Colin Dowling. And he says that people buy for 4 reasons and 4 reasons alone. It's time, money, sex, and peace of mind / approval, right? You have to position your solution to fix one of those 3 that you can solve, right? It could be a time issue. I spent 40 hours trying to source her. Okay, well, you don't have 40 hours next time you have to hire somebody, right? I'd be selling to that if we dug into what he did. It could be a money issue. He mentioned 60 plus K per recruiter. Maybe they're trying to tighten the budget. So I'm going to position my solution to help with that. Or it could be peace of mind / approval. Right? Peace of mind meaning, and you kind of hit on this too, that bottom rung has been de-risked by working with you. There's more peace of mind working with someone like me, who's an expert, who'll get you the right person, and they won't obviously cost as much as almost 2 there, which is peace of mind / money. But if we can sell to one of those 3 things, like our solution has to be positioned in one of those 3 buckets. And we got to ask questions around it and point to it and ultimately get them to take action around it too.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, and in this case, probably 70% of it, I think, is money, and yeah, little bit of peace of mind and time.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think he's already thinking about using an agency, so it's less of like, do you use an agency, and more of like, which agency. But
yeah, I mean,
we'll get
no, yeah, we can go into that too, like,
yeah,
understanding the vetting process, where they stand, their timeline, all that stuff too. And again, I know I keep harping on this, like, that stuff's important, but if you're going to look to other agencies to help solve your problem, I need to understand what the problem is in the first place. Because what if we come to have a discussion and you realize, being the expert that you are in your space, they don't even need someone like you. Hey, look, based on everything you told me, you actually don't need this. You need this instead. And I would recommend you take this path first before coming back to me.
Yeah.
You freed up some time for them. They don't have to vet other agencies. And you're selling against yourself in a way. Obviously, like, you're not going to get the deal this time, but you're setting up long-term relationship. You're also setting them up for success in their current needs, and positioning yourself as the person who's willing to, like, put their needs above yours, or put their needs above your own, which is a powerful thing to do.
Yep. Which happens quite a bit. Happened yesterday, where I was like, hey, like, this doesn't make sense for you unless X, Y, and Z happen first.
And people love that, right? They appreciate it though. Like, this is sad to say, but there's just too many people out there willing to close a deal at any cost. And I think a lot of prospects, it's a breath of fresh air when someone says, hey, I'm not the right fit, and here's why. They appreciate that. And then guess what? When they come back 6 months later, they fully trust you to put them in the right direction. So if you say, hey, you need to work with me now, you're almost always going to get a yes from them.
Yeah, definitely. All right, let's dive back in.
The stat drop, right? That's huge. Like, since we started, what was it, July, half of our clients have come back for second hire. Like, that, it's huge, right? That's such like a It's social proof, right? Essentially, it's just saying, hey, look, people are coming back to us. Do you know the exact number? Like how many? Like,
Well,
and the only reason I say that is like numbers are powerful, right? So since
yeah,
July, we've worked with
if it's
15
specific.
agencies and seven of them come back and asked us for a second hire, right? Like, or yeah, I mean, you did say half though, so I think that's good, right?
But
Like,
something, I hear you. Something more precise would land stronger versus just
yeah,
like a
and
general fact.
I think you could even expand on it too. Like, what are the roles they came back to help with? Was it sourcer? Was it BDR? Was it this? Like, hey, typically we start with organizations, they have a spring of sourcer, and then they love us and they bring in a BDR. Like, just like another way to like sell the full scope of one, what you do, but then also like start planting seeds in his mind of like other ways you can help. Because right now, more often than not, he's thinking, okay, he's gonna help me with the sourcer. Oh wait, you do BDR. Like if you mention, hey, we work with other firms and we help them place a BDR. Like, oh wait, they do BDRs too. Oh, we actually help them place an executive admin. Oh, wow, they do that too. Like now you're planting these little seeds and he's thinking beyond just sourcer. He's thinking, okay, Greg can help me with this and this and this. And he's already helped these other companies do this. Like now I'm starting to get a full scope while at the same time you're bragging. Going back to as well, what he said something in there that he asked for country. I love the little, hey, 20%. It costs you 20% more in Argentina. I love the fact that like you knew that. I think that's just a again, subtle flex to show you know the market well.
Hmm.
Going back even one step further, he talked about like sitting down with them, and it almost sounds like he's shadowing these individuals. He said a phrase, and it's actually the second time he said it, and I forgot to bring this up sooner. He talked about the Colombian person ramping up, and then this time he said the exact phrase, which was get up and running. What does that look like? What is the get up and running phase? How long does it take for someone to be up and running?
Mm-hmm.
Because understanding that can help me understand, okay, if you're saying this Colombian sorcerer takes 10 weeks to get up and running, if we were to find someone in Mexico that get up and running in 5 weeks, what impact would that have on your business? By
Yep.
like understanding what they're doing and then selling against it, not even against it, but like just selling how you could help around that is so powerful. And like, again, we're both contract staffing guys in the past. If I ever heard like long ramp up times and training times and stuff, like that's why I sold contract to hire. Like, hey, you won't even know if this person's the right fit till week 12 because you just told me it takes 12 weeks to get up and running and then probably an initial 3 to 5 weeks to really vet them out. So why would you hire someone full time on day one when we have this model where you bring them in, we have a 12-month guarantee, and you can make sure that they're the right fit long term, right? So again, small little thing, but anytime I hear about training, run, get up and running, ramping up, whatever, I always want to understand what does that look like for their company. Is it 2 weeks? Is it 7 weeks? Is it 12 weeks? Right? I need to understand that and then position myself probably selling against it more likely than not. Fair feedback. I mean, feel free to give me feedback. Like, no,
Yeah. Yeah. This is all solid. Yeah. Side note,
yeah,
four out of our first 5 clients we worked with have all come back for at least a second search. In one case, 3 more searches.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
pretty cool to see.
what were the roles, right? So again, now you've just strengthened your value right there. 80% of our clients, right, over the first 5, 80% of them actually came back and hired with us at least a second time. Some actually are on our third or fourth hire right now. And we've helped them place or find or whatever the phrase you want to use, and then start listing off the roles.
Yep.
So plant seeds in other departments you can make an impact on.
Yep.
Because you might not, again, he's thinking sorcerer, but if you're saying, and clearly he wants to know what are other firms doing, what are these agencies doing? If you're saying, well, actually, some of these firms are hiring a BDR, here's what we did for them, and here's the success they've had since then, that's a huge sell.
Yep.
Even go back to like, because you said like the cost saving too is part, I think your exact words were cost savings. You could even flip that one step further and say, not only cost savings, what's the ROI? So if they were to, again, example selling, 80% of our clients come back. We've worked with 4 of the first 5 we've worked with in multiple roles. And actually, we had someone we placed as a BDR. And within their first month, they helped the company make a placement, and they've already 5x their ROI in terms of investment with us, based off of that, right? Like, again, small little thing, but if we could sell to that, right, to the whole time, money, peace of mind / approval, yes, we can save money, cost savings, but also here's the upside too. And we can example sell towards that.
Yep. Yeah. I do need to like build out more of like an inventory of examples, stories, statistics to be able to go back to.
Stories and stats sell. Like
Yeah.
they just do. People buy stories. That's what
Yeah.
they buy stories and outcomes. Like that's really what they do. And if we can position ourselves around that, we're in a good spot.
Yeah.
Jump. Yeah. If you got a question, go ahead. But like, if not, we can jump
Easy
back into
recruiter.
like it almost sounds like an
Absolutely.
outsourcing,
Good.
right? An
Yeah.
outsourced method. Here's the issues that will occur, right? Planting the landmines, and then ultimately, if they don't heed your advice and step on said landmines and it blows up in their face, they can come back to you and say, well, everything you said that was going to happen did happen. So
Yeah.
if you know what's going to go wrong, you also know what's going to go right. And so again, elevating yourself is kind of this trusted partner. And then I also like the fact that you explained why associate recruiter. You said, hey, you should go to associate recruiter. I'm like, okay, good. Like, I don't know why. Help me understand why. And you did. You kind of explained, okay, here's the sourcer, and this is probably what stage, but I think it can help a little bit around this piece. Like, I really like that piece because if you're ever going to make a recommendation, I always think it's important to explain the why behind it. And
Yeah.
it obviously shows, again, you know your space. If you're a smaller firm, sourcer probably makes sense, but based on everything you just told me, associate recruiter, and here's why, loved all that.
Cool.
It's,
All right. Huge part of my sales process. As a side note, I'm currently I just finished working with my designer on building out like slick profiles that have like, here's how many years of experience in industries and KPIs and a
okay.
video. So I'm building out something much better, but yeah, massive part of my sales process.
Okay. I mean, I assume it works, right? Otherwise, you wouldn't keep doing it. It's definitely different. Like, I can see though why, and again, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm assuming your thought process is I show them because one of the common probably objections to nearshore is, well, how do they sound on the phone, right? Like, are they English? Are they well spoken? How's their English? And by showing them video format, they can quickly see, yes, they
Yeah,
speak well.
100%. This one was not nearly as well executed as it could have been. I was too eager to jump in. Ideally, I would have given a bit of background and like hyped
Okay.
them up some other pieces here. In the
Smaller
second,
thing. I'll
yeah,
say smaller thing too. Yeah, go ahead.
in the second call, you'll see we did some more detailed MPCing.
Okay. And this might not be a big deal, but I don't know why. But when he said, "Oh," he said, "Oh, you just build relationships with people." For whatever reason, that just like sparked a
Mm.
bit of rage. And like, we don't build relationships; we headhunt. Like, we're not out there like befriending people. We're out there finding you the best talent available. We don't build relationships. We headhunt the best talent in Latin America. Again, small thing. It might mean nothing, but I don't know. Just the way he said it, I didn't love. Like, oh, I think he even said you're just out there building relationships. Like, no, no, no. We're out there headhunting from the top firms in Latin America to ensure our clients get the best talent available. That type of thing. Like, again, small pushback. Maybe it's not a big deal, but for whatever reason, the whole build relationship sounds like it's just some like post and coast. Like, you're just like, oh, you're just out there just making friends. No, 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 we're not. We don't work with everybody. We only work with the best. We're headhunters.
Yeah, and it's true. We probably 95% of the candidates that we engage are ones that we headhunt. We almost never post job ads. It's complete waste.
There you go. That's what you should have said right in there. Oh, no, we don't build relationships. We're out there headhunting because 95% of the people we found have come from us actively pursuing them. Because what we've learned from doing this is if you were just out there posting a job, you're gonna have to wade through hundreds of applications to find the one dime in the rough. And that's why we put on all this work. And that's why we market map, to your point. Like, again, I'm tying back like what you've already said in the call.
Yeah.
That's why we market map and figure out who the best agencies are in Latin America, because when clients come to us with needs, we have a roster and places to go to get the best available talent and not go after the ones that won't be the right fit or however you want to phrase it. Right? And again, might be nitpicking here, but did you hear yourself say lower skilled?
Yeah.
Like, is that like the equivalent to entry? Like, I guess, so again, I'm like a big word guy and sometimes I just like overthink stuff. But if I say the word lower, you immediately think devaluing, right? That's my 2 cents. If I say they're lower skilled, like, well, why would I work with an agency if they're presenting lower skilled people? It's like, no, this Javier is more entry level, right? Because that's more common vernacular, first off. Secondly, it doesn't come with negative connotations. Again, small little thing, but
Good call.
like, I heard lower. I'm like, I was like, they're not lower. Like, that doesn't sound good. So, and again, maybe it's a one-time thing, but I just had to point that out, as opposed to like the other person you presented, they're more experienced, they are more seasoned, or they're higher billers or whatever, right? Something like that. Just a subtle tweak in terms of like how we talk about candidates and the words we
can
choose.
Stop there. We get
Yep.
we get a book
Oh,
and that's it.
you just get into this, the logistics. Okay. One, I love the whole you sold like the transformation, right? Meaning, hey, I did this. I brought in nearshore people. I was able to take months off of work and have the place run itself. You said the word that is the dream, but then didn't ask what his dream is. Like, is he envisioning the same thing? Is that what he wants? Like, I would just want to understand what his dream is with bringing in or his company or what he wants to do with these sourcers, right? Because if you think about kind of like the process, right? And it's a popular copywriting framework. You might be familiar with it. It's called PASS, Pain, Agitate, Solution. I don't know if you're familiar with that or not. There's a variation of that. It's called PAST. So pain, it's PAST, Pain, Agitate, Solution, Transformation. What we're trying to do in the beginning of the discovery call, here's your pain points. We're agitating the pain points, right? We have a solution to it. And then, oh, by the way, here's what life looks like after the solution is in place. You told me what if we were to apply it to your old business, right? The past, like you had pain points, you brought in nearshore people, the solution was that, right? It became a well-oiled machine, and the transformation was you're able to take months off of work and the place ran itself. Like we've now just taken this whole thing from pain point to transformation, and it's a beautiful story. But we don't know what his transformation or what he wants at the end of it. So I would just, again, it's a small thing, but I would just ask, like, hey, because you said you made the assumption that is a dream, and I would agree that probably is the dream of every business owner. Have a place run without you having to have your hands in the mud all the time. But I want to confirm and understand what his dream is and what he wants to get, because that's the transformation he's looking to achieve, and I can also sell to that as well. And then what was it? Oh yeah, a few candidates, I think kind of how you positioned it, right? You said center of the service agreement. I like how you kind of push back and try to get a second call. We use the business partner kind of as like a reason why, get them on the call too, to have a conversation. I will ask you like this tough question now though, is what pain/challenge is he trying to solve?
Yeah, he is trying to get his 360 recruiters out of recruitment by bringing on 180 recruiters and sourcers, and doing it in the most cost effective manner.
There you go. Okay, good. So that, again, we're getting that, like that's part of it. Now the question is, what has he tried? What are the pain points he's had around it? Like, and I don't think we spent a lot of time on that particular piece. Maybe doing the second call again.
Yeah.
But if I'm leaving the call, and this actually goes into, if we're talking about processes, what your recap email looks like. So I called it like the game plan email in terms of like how it's laid out. And it's essentially, I can actually even like probably pull it up right now. But what I love about this is it basically like lays out, there we go. It lays out the conversation in like a very clean way. And here, let me share my screen right now. It's like this is a very simplistic way of doing it, but there you go. You see my screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, great meeting you, blah, 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 right? Okay, cool. Here's the current situation. Essentially, like, here's what you heard. Here's what they're going through. And if I were to reiterate, and we can use AI note takers and do a lot of this stuff now with that, but if we're doing this manually, essentially, hey, here's what I heard. You're trying to add X amount of divisions. Your L&D trainer is okay. You have a call me sourcer who's doing okay. Like, I'm just kind of hitting on all these pain points, right? And I'm trying to then hopefully agitate them going back to that, like, hey, if you don't get this accomplished by X date, you won't be able to grow 7 divisions or whatever it is. And then ultimately, like, the solution, here's how we can help. You kind of talked about how you can help from a cost-effective standpoint, how you've helped other organizations as well. You've even MPC'd some people. You may even have it in there, like someone like Javier could come in and make an impact right away. And then ultimately, like, what are next steps? Which in this case, we have a meeting set up or whatever it is. Why I like this, multiple reasons actually. One, it forces you to organize your thoughts in like a clean, laid out manner. Two, for this business partner, the goal would be this individual, Dante, could send that email over to the business partner. The business partner could read your recap email and be about 80% of the way there. Like, they basically understand like everything they weren't on the meeting, but they understand about 80% of what we talked about just reading that email. The email itself sells for us as well. And then the last piece is, because I talk about holding up a mirror to your prospects, an email like this holds up a mirror to yourself, meaning when it comes time to write these things out, if we don't have answers to each section, it means we didn't spend time talking about those sections, which then could then tell us, okay, we need to fix some things in how we run discovery meetings. You might get to the end of it and you go to send a recap email, you know their current situation is, you know your solution, but we don't know what the challenges are. It's like, okay, well, that's a big gap in how I run discovery meetings. And I need to understand that and spend more time on that particular piece so I don't have a giant hole in my email.
Yeah, I'm really glad you shared this. This is really solid. I need to be doing this.
Again, like,
Yeah.
Best piece of advice I would say is like once, and I can send you the template too, is like, pick up all you want, right? There's different ways you can go about doing it, but the email should accomplish really two things. One, identifies any gaps you have in like how you run the discovery meeting, but two, it sells on your behalf. Like this thing should, so every time they open it up, it smacks them in the face. Here's my current situation. Here are my pain points. Here are my challenges. Here's how they could help. Like I read it. I'm caught up to speed on it. My business partner's caught up to speed on it. Right. And ultimately, like, yeah, as I've said enough, it sells for you. Like that's the whole goal of this email.
Yep.
And also the last piece I guess I should add, it gives you reasons to like it's in writing. There is, I mean, we're on these calls, you leave. If you don't send a recap email, like yes, we have note takers and all this stuff. Like people don't always remember this stuff, but if it's cold, hard written words saying, here's your problems, here's your challenges, here's your solution, guess what? When they don't get back to me next week, I can hit on those things. Hey, you mentioned X is occurring. If we don't get this meeting solved by next week, here's most likely you're going to experience, or some sort of variation of that. Because going back to what we said at the start of this call, we're selling Tylenol to headaches. And in this case, I'm just hitting on a headache more and more and more and more.
Yep. So I want to recap what I took away, focusing more on the bigger picture items. Also a lot of great tactical things, but overall, I think there's a lot of structural opportunity to improve. Both first coming into this, like I think biggest thing is like I actually just need to develop a structure for calls, and like call one, here's how I'm structuring it. Call two, here's how I'm structuring it. And then within that, like call one needs to be framed in the beginning and then have an intentional question or two lined up after I initially frame it. Then with that in mind, then spending a lot more time digging into the pain points, and really trying to get to like, ultimately, what is my solution going to solve? Like using the framework of, what is it? Time, money, or peace of mind, or sex. And like, but yeah, really doing a better job digging deeper into those pain points, to then be able to understand how I'm going to position this. I think there were a lot of good tactical things about like having specific statistics and stories available to sell, which I did an okay job of, but I think that's something like I can easily develop better. And then, yeah, I think again, a few tactical things I need to like go back through my notes on, but those are like the biggest. Is there anything that I'm missing there that's like a really big
No, I mean, like you talk about like the structure of the call, and again, just like reiterate on this, like ultimately, like what is your objectives? Like what is the objective on each one? Come in to each call with like 2 to 4. One of them always being, and I think this is important in our space, recruiting, and probably just in general, right? I think it's always important to learn one thing personal about somebody if possible, which we did, right? Like I know that he played soccer, he has an ACL issue. There's some other things in there too where you could, in theory, like send him a soccer like tickets or something. Like I love that little thing. Like, but again, I think what are your 2 to 4 objectives? One, I always say, hey, learn something personal, and what are the 2 to 4 business objectives you're trying to accomplish? And business, like not just business hierarchy, because I learned a lot about his company. I want to learn about the objectives around the pain points he's trying to solve, like his challenges, pain points, his roadblocks, however you want to phrase it. I want to spend time around that. And I think one of the quickest ways to get to that is coming in prepared with some assumptions. Hey, most firms at your stage who are looking to add sourcers are dealing with X, Y, and Z. Which one of those resonates with you? This one. Great. help me understand what you've tried with it. What's going on with it? Why are you trying to solve this problem? Like now I'm just spending 10 to 15 minutes all on their pain points and digging and digging and digging. And I leave away with some really actionable information. Because
Yeah,
ultimately, like,
that's a really good one. Sharing the assumptions based on where their business is at.
correct. And if
Yeah.
you're right, awesome. You look like the smartest man in the room because you're right on, you're spot on. If you're wrong, cool. They told me I'm wrong. Where did I miss? Most agencies are in that stage. You're not. What are your challenges then? Cool. We jump right into it. Either way, I'm at the root cause in the first 5 minutes, and I can spend the next 20 minutes talking around that piece, as opposed to like if you really think about how that call went. Does knowing they're adding 7 divisions helpful? Yeah, I mean, yeah, kind of, right? Like sourcers could play a piece in that. Does knowing about the L&D being an okay person help? I mean, a little bit, kind of, but not really, right? Like there's a lot of like information, but how much of it is actionable and how much is actually going to move the needle to get them to make some changes? Not a ton. And so by, again, flipping the script, talking particularly on pain points, making assumptions, and getting to the root cause, we can spend all of our time digging and digging and digging and making it more, again, making those mountains out of molehills. That's the goal. Because they might think it's a small problem. Like, well, actually, Greg, it only took me a week to find a sourcer. Only a week? Like, well, how many hours did you devote to that? You devoted 20 hours of your week to that? As a business owner, was that the best case? Was that the best use of your time? Like, what else could you have been doing instead of doing that? How many cans did you have to source through? Like, did it work out the first hire? I don't even know. It sounds like you've gone this. Was this first hire the one and only, or did you have to go through some other ones, right? Like digging and digging and digging and digging and making it worse, worse, worse. Because I'm trying to show how what appears to be a small problem has a much larger impact. We used to call it like, what was it? I think it was called 9-box, right? But if you break it down even more simplistic, it's the pain points you have to think of. What's the impact on the individual, right? The person you're meeting with, the group, and then the business as a whole. And if I can show how this one pain point impacts all 3 of those, right? Again, mountains out of molehills, make it bigger and bigger. What appears to be a small mosquito bite is a raging like problem, right? Or a raging headache, to go back to that metaphor.
Yeah. I think as I'm thinking through the structure, one other thing that's coming to mind is just creating a bit of an outline for myself of like what are the things that I need to learn that'll ultimately, because like it's part of it's pain points, but that's the root of it. But like understanding some of their systems, what they've tried before, what hasn't, I could probably build out a list of a half dozen or so areas that are important to be able to dig into. That'll pull out more pain points or more issues with what they're currently doing.
Correct. The downstream impacts of everything, right? Because one of my favorite phrases, whatever you want to call it, right? With change come challenges, with challenges comes problems, with problems comes a need for a solution. So if I can like walk through that path, like here's a change, here's a challenge that presented itself that created this problem that ultimately has a solution, like that's a very linear way of thinking things through from a sales perspective, but it can help organize some of your thoughts when you do that exercise. It's like, okay, they want to add a sourcer. That's a change. What challenges will they probably experience, right? Okay, they have these challenges. What are the problems that occur as a result of this? Okay, and then ultimately, what is the solution to said problems? Now, going back to the beginning of that phrase, had they just worked with you, you could have foreseen the challenges they would face. You would tell them about the problems that will occur, and you're going to then get them to the solution / transformation without having to deal with some of that stuff.
Makes sense.
Helpful? Is this good? I feel like I'm doing a lot of talking, but I mean, I guess that's kind of what I'm supposed to be doing.
That's the point. Yeah.
I never like talking at people. That's always like my biggest bugaboo, but it is the point. So I'm always self-conscious about like just over explaining, but I guess that's the whole point here.
Yeah, the goal here is to learn from you. So I mean, in theory, swap out this sales conversation for me actually talking live, and you've done a lot.
Right.
So
yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So super helpful. It would be really useful to do a second call to go through round 2. Because I think especially then like we get into like talking through the solution more, talking through pricing, which there could be a lot to uncover there also.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure there is. Yeah, no, I think, we set up another call. I actually spent the whole, 90 minutes or so on just one call. Like, I think it'd be good to do another one of these and do it the second point.
And then also like would be interesting to get your take on some of the follow-up material that I have as well too, and like I don't know, at least like look at the deck and some of these other pieces to see if there's anything big missing there.
Yeah, no, I'd be happy to look at that. Like I said, the recap email, I think, is just so important, right? So I'd be curious how it's like structured and what you're hitting on, and maybe the deck is customized to like what you heard and said and stuff as well. But I think a lot of people like skip the recap, not skip, but like mail in the recap email in a sense, like, oh, here's we talked about it. It's like no, like it's another chance to just poke a little bit more, and it's in writing. So that way, when we say next steps, like, and again, I know you got a call scheduled with them, but there's some people who will never let you get a call on the call, right? Like, oh, we'll get back next week or whatever it is. Okay, in writing it says that by Friday, February 20th, you will get back to Keely about how you want to proceed. And then guess what? When February 20th passes and I'm reaching out on Monday, I'm responding to that email and I'm pointing out, hey, you said you're going to get X done by this date. I got my accountability actions items done. I got you the slide deck. I sent you the recap email. I sent over those NPC people. Where you like basically like where are you at on your side of the bargain, so to speak?
Yeah.
And it can't, yeah.
Creates more conversation.
Also true.
More dialogue. Yeah.
Yep. And again, it prevents you from doing the just checking in email, right? Hey, just checking in. Did you see the last? Like, no. We have clear action items, clear next steps, clear pain points. Like I can hit on any one of those things, not the old just following up. What'd you think of the proposal? No. Like I have real things to talk about and have an actual conversation around.